Did you feel like you were helping them?
I was following the instructions of my client to turn over anything I thought was relevant to the criminal investigation. This is not my case. My case is in the civil court. Anything that we thought was of value to the criminal case, we turned it over.
And the police were happy with that?
I don't know if they were happy or sad or distraught. I have no idea as to their emotional condition.
They sure never told you to stop.
The police never directed me to do anything. If they had told me to stop, I would have ignored them.
So you could go in without a warrant, find something, call them, tell them to get a warrant, they'd come get it.
I think that's an oversimplification and a vilification. I had permission to enter those premises. I had every right to be there. I didn't need a warrant. I'm not a state actor. I have the permission of the property owner. So I don't agree with your character.
That was a private investigator that was hired by Eric's family to investigate his death. Now, what's interesting is that when he testified, he made it clear that when they hired him, he told them, I'm going to investigate and I'm going to find what happened. You have to be okay with the results. We don't know if he overdosed. We don't know if someone took his life, and you need to be okay with whatever I find. And they agreed upon that. Now, I'll go into his testimony shortly because this is day 10. Let's go into the first witness. Is Cody Wright. That is his business partner. He shares that for years, they were friends. They end up doing this business together. It's called C&E for Cody and Eric. He shared that Eric was very ambitious. In fact, Cody was like, I would be happy with just a little business, but Eric was very ambitious, constantly growing their business, very passionate about what they were doing. At one point, I believe they have like 50 or 60 employees, and they don't have a location. In fact, they each have an office at home that they work out of. They also were not very tech savvy, so he shares that they had one email. As clients would email them, they would quickly respond, and it was a growing business. He shares that the life insurance, the purpose of it was that if he died or Eric died, the other person would get $1 million. The purpose of that was for them to take that money, turn it over to the family of the person that had passed, because it's essentially buying them out of the business. That way they can take control. He actually turned that money over to the trust. Now, they also talk about the fact that Corey apparently needed $200,000. So Eric calls him and he's like, she's having an issue getting some type of loan for this house. She needs to remodel it. Are you cool if I take out the 200 grand from our business? He understood it to be a loan. It was returned even with interest, such that she was able to fix up the house and resell it. Now, another thing that I found interesting was the fact that they used to go deer hunting a lot. Apparently, someone reported him for doing something that was illegal in reference to hunting. He told the police what Eric had done. They asked him, I guess that was part of the investigation. He was very clear, and I guess that it kind of affected their relationship a little bit. But this man, you could tell, is just very honest, he's not going to get in trouble for anyone. And I believe he was even arrested. And it was interesting because the defense team previously had stated that that's why they stopped taking vacations, etc. But they would meet still a couple times a week for lunch to talk about the business, but they weren't together every single day. He also, when interviewed by the defense, he talks about the fact that they did have an income. She asked him kind of, how much money did you guys make? And he was, well, I can't tell you. And she goes, well, did you make $500K? He goes, no, that's very high. She was like, would it surprise you to know that in his taxes, he filed as if he would have received $900,000 income? At that point, the state objected. We couldn't listen to the rest of that because I was interested in listening to that. Another thing that they objected to was an LLC that they had separate to the business. LLCs where they took out to $200,000. The reason that's important is because Corey has always said that Eric invested in her business. So if he succeeded, it was a partnership. And the business partner is saying, no, we loaned her the $200,000. We got that money back and we were done. But again, they were like, no, we're not. He objected. And they weren't allowed to talk about that specific LLC. They bring up the fact also that he had heard that he had used pills in the past when he was in high school, etc. There's no proof of that. He doesn't remember who told him. He doesn't know what pills they were. He don't even know if they were Sudafed. At the end of the day, he talks about what an amazing person Cody was. You can tell he's very distraught by the loss of Cody. The next witness is their forensic investigator when it comes to the signatures. Actually, specifically, originally they put forensic evidence and then they changed it to handwriting expert. He shares that of his background, he reviewed all of the details, all of the different documents with Eric's signatures to confirm if, in fact, she forged Eric's signature on a life insurance that she purchased without him knowing. It was $100,000. He states that it was probable that Eric did not sign the document. Why is it probable? He couldn't say that it was 100% because it was a PDF. So it was like a copy. That was the best that he could do, but he really felt that it was probably not signed by Eric. The defense, of course, was like, people change their signatures as time passes, as they get older. Also, she brings up documents, different studies that have been done stating that handwriting experts aren't factual. It's impossible to know if someone actually forged a signature or not. They then try to bring up an internal affair when he was an officer. Apparently, a supervisor said that he was signing or fraudulently signing documents, submitting fraudulent evidence. Come to find out, he was released perfectly, like as if he was not guilty at all. Everything was good. The next witness that we're going to go into is actually the detective, Woody. She actually shares how when she arrived, immediately Eric's sister came up to her without her even going into the house, told her that she felt that Corey had done this to her brother. Her brother said that she had previously tried to poison him, but wasn't successful, and that if anything happened to him, it was because of her. They asked her, did that change your mindset when you walk in? He goes, well, when you're going to walk in now, you're looking at it in a different angle and a different perspective, because the EMTs, when they went in, shared that they thought that he had an aneurysm. They also played the 911 call. That 911 call was horrible. She sounded like she was fake crying. She also sounded like she did not want to do CPR. She was pretty much hyperventilating. The lady was like, please, I'll show you, I'll guide you to do CPR. Come on, like, you can do this. I don't know if I can touch him. It sounded completely fake. That to me was not authentic whatsoever. Also, they bring up the fact that, again, the police did not secure the area like they're supposed to because they don't know the cause of death. Also, they didn't take any evidence with them. So they found empty pill bottles, the empty drinks that were in the sink that supposedly he had drank that night. No evidence that they take that day. They just took pictures. We do know that the medical examiner had the bottle of the pills. Nothing was ever requested for him to test. The final witness at this point is that investigator. He shares that, again, the family hired him to make sure they found answers. He did not need permission from any police officer. The owner of the trust, or the person that was handling the trust, which is Katie and her husband, gave him permission to be in the house. He was going through the house. He was grabbing cell phones. He was scanning documents, finding anything. They found the life insurance documents. They found also her financials. He requested cell phone records. Those are things that he can do as a private investigator without a warrant. He would take pictures of things, communicate with police so that they would come back and file for a warrant, then be able to search the house. He then put GPS trackers on Corey's vehicle, as well as her mom, and as well as Carmen's vehicle. So he thought. It didn't come out to be Carmen's vehicle. It was actually a friend of Carmen's that was driving around. But what was interesting, and the reason he did it, is because when he got the cell phone records, it showed that the majority of the calls was between her and her mom. Then when he investigated Carmen, he realized Carmen was a drug user, like Carmen had been to jail, and he wanted to find out, was there anything, maybe she was getting drugs, maybe that's where she got it from. So again, he turns all of that information over to police, letting them know that they need to investigate Carmen, they need to investigate Corey and her mom as well. That's pretty much it. The whole point was that the defense wanted to make it clear that all of the evidence that they have, he was the one that turned it over. And he made it clear that, yes, any evidence that I found, I would turn it over to police because that's what my client requested that I do. He got paid over $100,000 out of Eric's trust fund. Next video, we'll go into day 11 and day 12.